And so I'm going to get right into it. First thing we're going to talk about is tracking mobile devices. These are some questions that we always like to ask lots of our customers and people that we come in contact with is, you guys have a lot of mobile devices in your organization? And all the time we hear, yes, we have so many mobile devices now. Everybody has iPads. Everybody has iPhones. Everybody has Blackberries. They have this and that. No, maybe not Blackberries. Those are going the way of the dinosaur, it seems. But iPads and iPhones and tablets, and we have so many different mobile devices. And we say, how do you track who has which device? Sometimes the answer we hear is, well, we don't have a way to track it. Other times people do track it, or they only track some aspects of it. And then how do we manage the issues with these devices? They can be troublesome, especially when there's so many nowadays. And so let's talk about tracking mobile devices. We need to know where our devices are at all times. There's several different ways that we can do this. Some of you out there, I know Novell users, probably using ZenWorks. Some of you who are using the GroupLink Everything Help Desk are probably using the internal asset tracker, and there are other asset tracking solutions out there. And these are important. These can be huge time-saving tricks for us to be able to track all of our devices. And we talk about tracking devices, but obviously the end point is not just to say, all right, this device is here, and that's it, even though that's helpful to know where a device is and who is in possession of it. So not only do we want to know who is in possession of the device, who had it last, but a big part of it is knowing which devices are having issues. We need to tie the assets to trouble tickets. And that will help us so much. If we can report on the assets that are having issues, then it can give us a clear picture of specifics. This asset is giving us trouble, problem after problem after problem. This type of asset, this type of tablet has given us nothing but problems, problems, problems. In the future, let's not buy those. In the future, let's steer this way. And if we're having the same problem over and over, and we've tied the assets to the tickets, and we can look and see, we keep having the same problem with this iPad issue. We need to train our staff on how to use it, and so we don't run into this problem again. So not only do we want to track our mobile devices, we also want to tie them to the tickets so that we can see the problems that we're having with them. We can view trends and come up with ways to either train our staff or efficient ways to solve those problems if they're just unavoidable, so that we can save ourselves some time instead of just dealing with it one day at a time every time something comes up. The next point I'm going to hit on is saving technicians time. Obviously, saving time is a huge issue. We're talking about doing more with less. We're talking about having less staff than ever before, and so the time is valuable. When you only have so many people and you don't have the budget to hire anymore, how they spend their time is valuable. And so every thing we can do to save our technicians' time is going to help us so much in the long run. The first thing we're going to recommend is that you give the technicians access to issues while on the go. While we're talking about mobile devices, they should be able to access their help desk tickets from any web-enabled device. For example, the GroupLink Everything Help Desk, you can access tickets from not only computers, but smartphones, tablets, anything that can access the internet will allow your technicians to access their tickets. So they're walking through the hall and a teacher grabs them and says, hey, well, this is a school situation. Teacher grabs them and says, hey, I'm having a problem with this. And instead of going back to the office to their computer to look up the problem, they can look it right up. Say, oh, yes, we've seen you submitted a ticket. This is what's being done. Save them tons of time. Another point here, allow technicians to work on and update tickets when away from their office. This is kind of in the same vein, but we're going to reduce travel time with this. They're going to be able to access their tickets from anywhere. It will reduce response time and increase end-user satisfaction, and also provide the technicians with easy access to information from within the help desk. Anywhere they are, they should be able to access the information. This is kind of a no-brainer. We don't want them to have to rush back to their desk every time an issue comes up, or, oh, I need to look that up. I'm going to have to go back to my office. Especially, and some of you guys are in situations where you have lots of different locations. Maybe you're spread out over a couple different buildings, or maybe if you're a school district, you're spread out across a city or a county, and you have one office, but that's in a central location, but you always have technicians that are traveling. They should be able to access everything while on the go. They should be able to pull up their tickets. They should be able to see the statuses. They should be able to enter notes, all from any device they have on them, whether it be their smartphone or their iPad, any tablet. They should always be able to, or another computer. They should always be able to access those problems. So it's going to save us time. And here's an example here, a quote from one of our customers. It says, mobile accessibility of the Everything Help Desk has allowed my technicians to turn their response time of a help desk request from 5 hours down to minutes. And that came from a good customer of ours, John Kay. He's the help desk manager. They're at Greenacher LTA. And when we talk about saving technicians time, on-the-go access is important. However, there are also some other points. And these are some great ones. Automatically create tickets for recurring tasks. This is a great time-saving device. If there's something that is recurring, and examples could include, for example, facilities. Say that every month you have to do a maintenance check of something. Or with IT, let's say every 2 weeks you need to back up the servers. A big time-saving tool that we can use for anything that is recurring or regularly scheduled. And Catherine will demo this, and so you can see exactly what we're talking about. But we need to automatically create tickets for these recurring tasks. Why waste time every time they come up? Okay, it's 2 weeks again. I'm going to go in. I'm going to create a ticket for the server backup so that we can get that done. No, if we know that every 2 weeks or every month or how often we do it, if we know that it's always going to come up, then we can set recurring tasks that will automatically launch tickets and remind us, hey, it's been 2 weeks. Time to back up the servers. We get it done, we close it out, we don't have to worry about it till the next time, and it will automatically do it again. And as I've listed here, it can be for IT, facilities, transportation, or human resources. I mean, there's lots of different ways to go about this, but anything that's recurring, it'll save us time if it automatically takes care of that for us. We want to automate anything we can. And moving on, we want to easily launch quick tickets for routine issues. Now, stuff like resetting username and password or new mobile device requests, these are the easiest examples I could think of to put on here. Things that come up often, whatever it may be in your organization. If it's coming up every single day, we have another request for this. We need to have easy, quick tickets that we can instantly launch. Click a button so that we're not always having to go in and recreate it. And this is kind of a no-brainer. If it's coming up over and over again, and it's something that we just have to do routinely, then yeah, we want to have a quick one-button solution that we can easily launch that for a routine issue. And that will save our technicians more time. So we're saving our technicians time, and we're making sure that we are utilizing that time. And we've talked about, accessing issues on the go and recurring tickets. But reducing workload is equally as important. If they have tons and tons and tons of stuff to do, then the time isn't really going to matter because they're never going to have enough time to finish it. So what we want to do is we want to reduce their workload. And now I'm not talking about giving up responsibilities. I'm talking about consolidating work, automating what we can to make sure that we are not doing things that we don't have to. Like we're talking about recurring tasks and everything, we're trying to eliminate. It's kind of in the same vein where we were trying to eliminate there, redoing things that needed to be done every week. Why do them over and over? So reducing workload is another common sense solution. First things first, give users the ability to solve simple issues themselves. This is a huge one, and this is something that we have so many people talk to us about. Sometimes there are simple issues, and people just get in the habit of submitting tickets whenever there's a little problem. And if we can give users the ability to solve the simple issues themselves, it will save us a lot of time so we don't have a bunch of small little issues that still take up a lot of our time. For example, if the user needs to change out their printer cartridge or something like that and they're not sure how to do it, or perhaps they need to connect a new printer to the network. It's a simple issue, and maybe we want to have them try to do it themselves before they contact our IT staff. Well, that's what the knowledge base is for. This is another thing that Catherine is going to demo later, but it says create articles with solutions to common issues in the self-help knowledge base. In the GroupLink Everything Help Desk, we can create a knowledge base that people can just instantly search. So if they have a problem with their printer, they can search printer, and a bunch of articles will come up that have been created from past experience, or maybe we've converted past tickets into knowledge base articles, which is something we can do in the help desk. We can convert them to knowledge base articles, so when it comes up again, the user can look it up and say, oh, all right, here's the step-by-step instructions of how to do this. And so with the simple issues, yeah, we can create a knowledge base, and we don't even have to put in tons of effort. We need to think of everything we need to think of everything that is a simple issue and write a huge article about it. Just when something comes up, we can click a button, convert to knowledge base article, and we can convert that ticket into a knowledge base article, so if the issue does come up again, we can have a reference point. Manage technicians' workload. This one is so important. Quickly view current workloads for each of your technicians and give technicians a quick view of their workload by category. This is another thing that we can do in the help desk to kind of make things organized so that we don't waste time where we don't need to. If we're the manager, we can quickly view all of our technicians' workloads, see if maybe one person's being overworked while another isn't. And as the technicians, this will help them if we can categorize their workload. Say they have a bunch of things in the same category that can be easily accomplished at the same time. We don't want them wasting time going back and forth, switching from mode to mode. If they can have a quick view by category of their workload, then perhaps they can take some proactive steps to save themselves some time. And then we want to identify recurring issues. This one I've kind of talked about throughout the presentation, but get a quick view of trouble devices, programs, and users. If we're having the same problems over and over and over, we want to get an idea of that very quickly. And sometimes it does slip through the cracks. Maybe a couple different people have dealt with the same problem. Or maybe it's so far, maybe it's just far enough, a couple weeks, where you kind of forget how often it's happening. But if an issue is coming up over and over again, we want to find out quickly so that we can identify the root cause of the problem and solve that so that we don't have this issue come up again and again and again. And so the last point that I'm going to touch on before we go into our demonstration is world-class customer support. We want to do all these things. We want to save our technicians time. We want to do more with less. We want to track our devices. And the end result of that is we're going to have amazing customer support. And this is where our software can really help us. Number one, it says ensure that our SLAs are upheld, our service level agreements are upheld. Create auto-escalation rules for tickets. If somebody submits a ticket, we want that ticket to automatically escalate if we haven't taken care of it so that nothing slips through the cracks. And I know that sometimes it just happens. Something's forgotten about, things come up, and an issue can slip through the cracks, and the end user gets furious. You know, I submitted this ticket weeks ago. Why hasn't it been taken care of? We want to make sure that if we have forgotten about something, the software will alert us and say, hey, you haven't done anything for a week or 2 weeks or however long. It's time to take care of this. So the tickets should auto-escalate. And keeping end users in the loop, this second point, this is such a great tool. The help desk will automatically update users via email when their issues are updated. And it may not be a super long personal update from you, but just that message that they get, hey, your ticket's been received and we're working on it. Just keeping them in the loop like that goes such a long way in customer support. When they get that, then they're not always asking, hey, did you see my issue? Did you see that? I submitted it yesterday. Have you had a chance to look at it yet? What are you doing? If they're getting, whenever we update the status or put in notes, if it automatically updates the users via email, then, I mean, it just goes such a long way. They're thinking, hey, they know my problem. They've seen it. They're working on it. I'm not going to bother them. So that's another time-saving tool. And it's just going to create the best image that, yeah, our tech people are amazing. Every time I have a problem, they keep me in the loop. And this one is just such an important one. It'll go such a long way. And then lastly on here, I have auto-update tickets with a pre-scheduled task. Automatically change the status of a ticket or the priority of a ticket. And this is just another way to provide world-class customer support. Now, say a ticket comes in, and for a couple days it sits there. Let me give you a better example. Say that a ticket comes in, and based on the category selected, we know it's going to be a high priority. This is broken. It needs to be fixed immediately. Then we can automatically have the help desk update the priority. If it's an important machinery or something that breaks down, hey, it's going to switch it to high priority or critical priority immediately so that we know, hey, this is an important ticket and this needs to be taken care of right away. And others, we can afford to wait a couple days, but if this one comes in and there's a problem with the copy machine in the office or whatever it is, something that is always in use, needs to be fixed immediately, then we know and it will alert us, hey, this is a critical priority, take care of this now. All right, so now that we've talked about these four, and I do have one more example built in here. This is from Pflugerville Independent School District, our friend Tylene Cunning there. She said, purchasing everything help desk led us to finally get our end users to see that we are working on things and keeping up the status, keeping the communication open between the end users and the staff. At Pflugerville, they knew that the end users finally realized they are working on our issues, and it helped them stay in touch. Now that we've talked about those 4 points, Catherine is going to demonstrate a lot of the things that I've talked about, and then after the demonstration, we will have time for Q&A. So we're going to pass it over to Catherine.
Thanks, Keaton.
You're welcome.
Can you see my screen okay?
Not yet.
Doesn't look like it, huh? Okay, it should be coming up. Let me know when you can see it.
Okay, I'm seeing your desktop.
Okay, as soon as I can see it, then I'll get started. For some reason, my screen's black. So, okay, I can see it now. Okay, so just so that everybody is aware, I've gone ahead and logged in as a manager so that we can go over the different options that Keaton had. This manager just has a few more rights than a technician, but what I'm going to show you is what a technician would be able to see. So the first thing that I want to go into is where Keaton talked about knowing where your devices are at all times and being able to track them. The GroupLink Everything Help Desk does integrate with ZenWorks, but we also have our own internal asset tracker, and that's the piece that I'll show you today. There's a tab up here at the top that just says Assets, and it will go ahead and list all of the assets that you have added to your system. So I'm just going to go ahead and show you the details that you can enter on a particular asset that you want to track. We have to have a number, a name, and a type, and we also give it a status. But we can also go ahead and say who this is attached to. We can put in the location so we know exactly where it's at. We can track the model number, the serial number, the manufacturer, the date it was acquired. We can also track, for accounting purposes, maybe what purchase order was used in order to purchase this, if it's on a lease, when it is out of warranty, when it was actually disposed of. And then one of the tabs that's very useful in the things that Keaton discussed was you can attach an asset to a ticket. So let's say an end user puts in a ticket and they're having trouble with their keyboard, and if you go in as the technician and attach that asset to that ticket, then you will always have record of how many times there's been a problem with that keyboard or with that monitor or that particular iPad. In doing this, you would be able to notice any trends. Maybe there is a certain model of a Dell monitor or a Dell CPU that you're having the same problems over and over with, so it just might be something that you don't want to purchase in the future. We also have a way to track the software licenses. At the remote management, you can type the information in here, and it makes it easier for a technician to just remote into that particular machine. So that would just be how you would list the assets and put them into your system so that you can attach those to tickets and develop those trends. We have different reports that will print that information out for you. So the next one I'm going to touch on here is saving technicians time. One of the things that Keaton talked about was automatically creating tickets for recurring tasks. And he had a few different departments listed there. Our system is used in more departments than just information technology, but the examples I'm going to show you are in the information technology department. And in order for us to create tickets for those reoccurring tasks, we go into to the templates area of the system, and we create a template for that. There's two ways you can do this. If you notice right here, these black dots are going in a circle. That means that this particular template is set to run on a certain time frame. So it can be set to run once a month, once a week, once a day. For this particular one, to back up the database, I'll just go in and show you the information in the ticket. Again, this is previously set up. We just put in the location, what group it belongs to, all of the information that the technician would need, and then we set the recurrence. So this one is set to run monthly, the first Monday of every month. And so as a technician or a manager, you can come in here and you can set that up, and then you don't have to generate this ticket every month. It will automatically generate on the date that you assigned it, and it will come into your inbox, and then you'll know that that is something that needs to be done. So the other type of recurring task that might not be set on a schedule, one that Keaton mentioned was a reset username password. If you have a call center, some places have a call center where users just call in their tickets. The technicians in the call center can set up different templates of phone calls that they get all the time. And it just saves them data entry time when they're entering that ticket. So let's say, you know, somebody calls in, I need my password reset. And if they have to generate a ticket for that, they can already have the ticket created, and they would simply come in here and launch this. So they would probably change the contact each time, as it would be a different caller, but they would simply change the contact, save that, and then launch that. And so instead of going on and filling out the entire ticket, they just put in the contact name and the rest of the ticket has been created. You can also create templates if you have users that you think are capable of running these. You can create a template and then make those public so that users can actually run a template and have their contact name populate and then send it on to the technician, and it's already done for them. One in particular, just to show a different department, in transportation, if a transportation department is using it, they're obviously going to do oil changes frequently on buses or cars or whatever fleet they have. So the ticket can be created, and the technician would simply launch it and probably put in the bus number or the car number of the one that they're actually doing the oil change on, and that's just a way that they can track their work, but it's less data entry for them. Okay, so the next, the world-class customer support. In our particular help desk, when a technician receives a ticket, it goes right into their queue, which you're seeing here, and it also goes to their email. So a lot of times you have technicians that will travel from location to location, working on various assignments, but they can still be getting their email on that mobile device, or they can be logging into the help desk on that mobile device, so they can continually view whatever's coming in and whatever's going out. I'm just going to open up a ticket here so that you can see what a technician would see. So if they just got this ticket in, and let's say they just have a question or they want to have a conversation with the user that submitted the ticket, they can simply click Add Comment and type in their question here, and then click to notify the user and save it. And that user won't even have to log into the help desk. That user will receive an email, and they can open up the email and respond to the email, and the response will be noted right here in the history comments from the customer. And of course, when the customer responds to the email, then the technician is notified. And so it makes it so that if some end users might be on a mobile device reading their email, and the technician could be out at another location, but still servicing those users by responding to the email. But with our system, everything gets put right there into the ticket itself. So you have a log history on the ticket in order for tracking purposes, but you're also providing that support when you're not back in your office and opening the ticket itself and responding from right here in the ticket. So another thing that Keaton talked about was auto update tickets with a pre-scheduled task. And I'm just going to show you something that we do here at GroupLink. When our support staff, we call this the scheduler because there's scheduled items that are going out. Our support staff, when we receive a ticket or a phone call and we create our own ticket, when that is resolved, we will set the ticket to resolved. And then hopefully the support staff doesn't ever have to look at that ticket again, because we set a task, a scheduled task that states when the status is in resolved, 5 minutes from the modified date, so 5 minutes after the technician puts that status to resolved, we want you to send an email. And this email is going to go to the ticket contact. And then we have some verbiage in here. This particular one states the status of this ticket has been changed to resolved. We ask if there's any more problems or questions that we can help them with. And we also advise them that if not, then the ticket will be closed in 3 days. So at that point, the user can respond to the ticket, or they can call in to the help desk again. So that's the first scheduled task that we have. So on the technician side, how we're saving them time is they just simply set it to resolved, and then this automatically goes out. They don't have to send an email to the end user explaining this each and every time. The end user just receives this email, and if everything is fixed, the end user will just delete it and disregard it. And so, of course, the next scheduled task that we have set to go out is to close that ticket. And so here it says when a status is in resolved, 3 days later, go ahead and change that status to closed. So that's 2 ways that we use a scheduled item to close these tickets out and save our technicians time by going in and responding, typing in an actual email to the user, and then changing that status. So if you have any questions on any other ways that we use scheduled items, there's tons and tons of different ways that you can do this. I'm sure that everybody has an SLA that they follow. Maybe they have to respond to a ticket within 24 hours. We have a lot of customers that will create a scheduled task in order to follow those SLAs. And it just saves either the manager or the technician time in following up with those technicians to make sure that that has been done. So that's all I have for the demo, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, thanks, Catherine, and thanks, Keaton. I do have a few questions. So it looks like the first one, can you please show the new hire ticket, the ticket template that has 8 child tickets?
Yes. Okay, so over here in templates, I think there's one in both. Okay, so under the new hire, I'm just going to go in and edit this so that you can see what it looks like upon creation. And this is sort of a demonstration of how to incorporate the workflow. So initially you come in and the technician or manager will set up each individual ticket. So this one says software setup, and it's asking to please install the software. Then we have a network, adding the user. There's just 8 steps that needs to happen when somebody is hired. So over here on the workflow, this is actually a ticket that somebody would need to go in and generate. And so the very first step would be our ticket that we named Set Up the Workstation. And once that ticket is set to resolved, then the system will automatically generate the next 2 tickets, Set Up Computer and Set Up Phone. And once those 2 are closed, then step 3 will go. And so the entire template of new hire will be closed out when the final ticket, manager's final approval, is set to close, and then that entire template will be complete. So hopefully that answered your question.
Okay, perfect. Next question looks like, does it tie in with eDirectory?
Yes, it does.
Simple answer. Question we love to get. It ties in with eDirectory, Becky.
Okay, just one last reminder, if anybody does have questions, put those through on the chat or the Q&A. Our next question, is it possible to create one ticket to go against multiple devices? For example, clean all workstations. She said, I would like something to check mark off each workstation as I clean them so I can easily see which ones still need completed.
In the help desk, you can only attach, if you're putting all of the workstations in as assets, you can only attach 1 asset per ticket. But if you wanted to go ahead and create, we have tickets that we call a parent-child relationship. You can create a parent ticket that's asking you to clean off the workstations, and then you can have a child ticket that is attached to each other asset, and then you can check those off as you go down.